Good morning. A few months ago now, we said goodbye to our beautiful family dog, Alfie. Alfie was such a loyal dog. As soon as you arrived home, he would greet you at the door. Wherever I went in the house, Alfie would follow. He just always wanted to be by my side. He just loved me. And all he wanted in return was to be loved back. The love and loyalty that Alfie showed us was amazing. We all have many relationships where we have loyal friends, family members, work colleagues. But unfortunately, sometimes things go wrong in these relationships. And then things become broken and flawed, not as we had planned it would be. People plan their weddings with the ones they love, full of love and loyalty for each other. But then things don't go according to plan, and sadly can sometimes end in divorce. Unfortunately, that's the way some relationships are in society. Everything seems to be going so well, but then things go wrong. But there is one relationship we can fully depend on, and that is our relationship with God. God will never let us down. The promises God makes us in the Bible are everlasting. Let me turn to the Bible now as I read from the book of Ruth. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah, together with his wife and 2 sons, went to live for a while in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife's name was Naomi. And the name of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem, Judah, and they went to Moab and lived there. Now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth. After they had lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, and Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. When Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, she and her daughter-in-law prepared to return home from there. With her 2 daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Then Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-laws, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness, as you have shown kindness to your dead husbands and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband." Then she kissed them goodbye, and they wept aloud, and said to her, "We will go back with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have more sons who would become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grow up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters. It is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has turned against me." At this they wept aloud again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, and Ruth clung to her. "Look," said Naomi, "your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her." But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. So the 2 women went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them, and the women exclaimed, Can this be Naomi? Don't call me Naomi, she told them. Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me. The Almighty has brought misfortune upon me. So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. In the book Living and Loving Faith, it says, the biblical pattern of love is woven into all good relationships. One key relationship is friendship. The story of Ruth and Naomi is a perfect example of a good friendship. Ruth shows such loyalty to Naomi. If we read verse 16, where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Ruth actually says here, your God will be my God. Ruth was so faithful to Naomi. When her husband and sons died, she chose to serve the God of Israel, the God of Naomi, rather than go back to her own people and serve her own God. Now, Ruth was a Moabite woman. It states in Deuteronomy 23:3, no Ammonite or Moabite or any of their descendants may enter the assembly of the Lord, not even in the 10th generation. But rather than stay in Moab with her own family once her husband died, Ruth stayed faithful to Naomi and accompanied her to Judea. Not only that, she says, where you die, I will die. When saying this, she knows she won't see her family again. She is saying goodbye to them. This was a selfless act and a stunning example of love for Christ, the same Christ who will be of her bloodline years later. Ruth went above and beyond in the way she honoured and respected Naomi. She became known as a virtuous woman. She also worked hard to provide food for herself and her mother-in-law. This showed her true character, and God honoured this. Boaz was drawn to Ruth because of her loyalty and the care she had shown to Naomi. Do we ourselves live a good Christian life? Are we a good witness to others? Do we behave in a way that people say, I want to be like them. I want their God in my life. Through this act of love, friendship, and loyalty, God graciously intervenes. God rescued Naomi's family line. Ruth married Boaz, a relation of Naomi, who was also to be her redeemer. Ruth then bore Boaz a son, who was under the genealogy of David. Ruth was David's great-grandmother. I think what is important here is that this is just two ordinary women, but Ruth and Naomi allowed their lives to be shaped by faith and guided by God. Yes, when Naomi arrived in Bethlehem, she was downcast and quite angry at God. She felt God had dealt with her bitterly, to the point she actually changed her name to Mara, which means bitter. Why her husband and sons had died, we don't know. Maybe Naomi blamed God for it, which may have made her bitter. We don't know the answer to that, but one thing we know is that God certainly didn't give up on Naomi. God was loyal to Naomi. We see in this story Ruth caring for Naomi and God caring for Naomi. And this is revealed by the way God works in their lives. Through her pain, Naomi had hope that better days were ahead. She chose to return to Judah. She knew God was at work. The Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them after the famine. I think what we need to remember here is that God never promises everything will go smoothly in our lives, and that there'll be no sadness or tragedies. But what he does promise is that no matter what we go through, he will be by our side. But we must stay loyal and faithful to God and trust in him, even when things go wrong. And always remember that God knows the bigger picture. God knows the full story, just like Ruth and Naomi. And God knows his plans for us, and that we have hope and a future in him. The best relationship you can be in is a relationship with God. God will never let you down. God is loyal. God is faithful. You can trust in him. So when things don't go according to plan, reach for the Lord. He will be there for you. Psalm 103 verse 8. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love. That's loyalty.